This tire has been bugging me for a while now. It's just begging to be put to better use. It's a Bridgestone BT016. A really old Bridgestone that it seems I used to practice my tire letter colouring in, along with what looks like overspray from a past spray painting project. So I decided to cut it in half and turn it into the coolest shelf you've ever had nothing to put on. Sounds easy, right? Well, the challenges started immediately on this one, like just trying to find the precise halfway mark of the tire. Hey Siri, what is 17 inches in centimeters?
17 inches is 43, 18 centimeters.
Despite Siri's words of wisdom, I cheated and used a brand new tire that still had the markings from the mold, marking the halfway points perfectly. Thank God for Pirelli. I chose the half where a Bridgestone logo would be front and center when it's all done. Now, it's no secret that tires have steel in them, but I was still skeptical as to how difficult that would be to cut through, or what tool combination would do the job the easiest. So I made a test cut on the half I had no plans for, to decide on a saw, and I bumped into the steel for the first time. However, the smell of burning rubber was an upside. It's basically a simulated burnout. The wood saw was the guy to beat when it came to eating through the rubber, but the hacksaw was the muscle when I hit the shiny bits. On the first day, I thought I had bitten off more than I could chew. I didn't seem to be getting anywhere, and the tire seemed to be controlling me more than I was affecting it. So just like on the road then. I came back the next day with stiff forearms and fresh blades. I'm not usually the type of guy that thinks you have to have the right tool for the job, but fresh blades are an exception. The rubber takes the paint off the blade in only a few strokes, but between me, the two saws, and a plea to the pump pliers, I ended up with half a tire. Well, that is one of the most satisfying things I have ever done. If you've ever wondered what's inside a tire, then today is your lucky day. It's basically a million steel strands with rubber on either side down the center, while the real killer is the impenetrable wires around the bead of the tire. The beauty of this project is that it's entirely for fun. Unlike my past projects, I have no real need or use for a shelf. I've just been itching to turn the tire into one. And the next best part is that none of the wooden structure needs to have perfect cuts or be presentable. All the edges, besides the back that will sit flush against the wall, can be as messy as possible because they will be hidden under the tire by the end, and messy is my speciality. It was rather therapeutic, cutting two pieces in such a rugged fashion to sit inside the tire. One for the top and one for the bottom. However, the back would need to be a bit more strategic to fulfill its duty of holding the shelf up on the wall. It was a dangerous task. But I put my near-death experience behind me and got to work on splitting a strip diagonally so that one half could be glued to the shelf and the other half screwed to the wall, so that the tire could be hung on the wall without the need for hideous L brackets. To eliminate any screw holes showing up that would ruin the seamless shelf top, I experimented with dowel pins for the first time. I expected to need some backup in the tool department to get the dowels into position, but to my surprise, it all went smoothly. so I could glue it up and clamp it in the vise to dry. The tire was the exact opposite. It needed to look a lot better because it would have nowhere to hide. The cuts had come out far cleaner than I had ever imagined, so it was time to get some of that overspray off. Although messy was what I was going for, I still cleaned up the edges and took the top layer off with a bit of sanding before deciding on a color to stain the wood. Neither of my stain options excited me at the time, but I opted for the one I hated the least, and it actually turned out to be the best color to pair with a dazzling tire. And once again, the top and bottom got most of the attention, but the rest wasn't entirely left out either. With time to kill while I waited for the stain to dry, I turned my attention towards the Bridgestone logo. Finding my old attempts at white tire lettering made me realize what the shelf was missing. With dark stained wood and a black tire, white lettering could contrast perfectly. Because the sidewall won't be enduring any heat changes or flexing, I thought correction fluid pen should do just fine. It's definitely one of the fiddliest jobs to do, but I was glad I only had one logo to paint and not 4. My messy edges were cleaned up with a toothpick, and then this too was left to dry. I began to mount the strip the shelf would hang on to the wall, and started to question how well this would actually work. A third screw was also adopted once I realized how heavy even just half a tire is. Assembly was also satisfying, as the tire fit like a glove, or rather like a tire on a wheel. Originally, I had planned to fix the tire to the wooden structure with a few small nails, but because the tire fit so snugly, there wasn't even a need for that. And finally, the moment of truth. Somehow, it levitated against the wall and in my opinion, looked far fancier than a tire shelf ever deserves to look. My mini R6 was the first to have a go. Then my boots got their time to shine. The helmet couldn't resist, and even my cap looked rather fitting. The stain surrounded by the black tire worked brilliantly, and the white Bridgestone contrast even better than I had planned. If anyone's in the market for half a used tire, you know where to find me. It's only got one slight practice cut. If you're in need for a detachable shelf with dimensions and a shape that's pretty unusable but looks really cool, then I 100% recommend you build yourself one like this. But anyway, share this video with a friend that doesn't need a shelf. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next ride.